Hi there, Dr. Gary here, calling from Healthcare Practice Sales LLC. Hey, excuse the lighting, it's a little dark, but I wanted to get some more messages out to you. The name of our company is Healthcare Practice Sales, our web LLC. Our website is dentalpracticeguide.com. Our phone number is 201-663-0935. This information is for entertainment purposes. It is not meant for business or legal advice. So today, a buyer, now, first we got to realize if you have a Medicaid practice, it's hard to sell. Basically, nobody wants it. I don't get anybody wants to buy Medicaid practices. One of my buddies knows Medicaid well. He's going to buy it. Okay, it's all great. So there's very few buyers for this one doctor's office, and we don't really get involved in it, but he was a friend, and I'm trying to help out the seller. So we've been waiting for the buyer to make a move, and he's getting closer. I spoke to him 2 weeks ago. He says, I just want to tie up a few things. I think I'm going to move forward. All of a sudden, the buyer calls this morning, says, put a hold on everything. I'm getting divorced. I'm like, I couldn't believe it. Things just happen. And I'm telling you, you'll never get the timing perfectly right. Now, if this was a seller, for example, and had waited a year, as I often hear them say, I'll just wait till next year, I'll make back the money. Well, what would have happened, just like the seller here, and he didn't sell, and there's a divorce situation, now the spouse on the other side wants to know the value of the practice. It just mixes up everything. You may get an accountant that's overvaluing the practice. Medicaid practices sell for 50% or less. Historically, most of the DSOs don't want them. There's a few out there that will. Please contact us. We can, zero you in on the ones that will. It's like less than 10% of the DSOs will buy them. So now we have a situation where, everything just happens when you can't expect it to happen. For example, nobody dreamed about the pandemic, but it came. People assume they're not going to get disabled. They get disabled. You got this divorce situation. It's going to be a nightmare because this spouse is going to know the value of the practice. It's just going to, it's going to be a headache. And, if you were the seller of the practice, the spouse wanted to know, now it's going to tie up everything. You get an accountant that's overzealous and an attorney that's really a shark. They'll overvalue the practice. They'll tell the doctor, I want half of the practice value, when it's not truly the real value. The only real value of a practice is at closing table. That's the value. Before that, it's no value. It's what the buyer's willing to pay, the seller's willing to let it go for, and what the bank's willing to finance. But I'm trying to tell you that these occurrences happen. The out of the ordinary, it happens. And you can't predict when it's going to happen, if it's going to happen. So many people, that are holding on to their practice and say, well, look, I just want to work a little bit more. I understand that. And sometimes you have to, because you simply don't have enough savings. But, and it's very hard to find an accountant that will ever tell you to retire, because they have a fiduciary responsibility. They don't want you to see in a situation where you run out of money. So they tell you generally don't retire. In fact, 98% of the accountants will tell you generally don't retire. But where possible, and if you do have a practice and you have something close to a retirement fund that you should be okay, definitely get out. Don't even think about it, because you can always take a job elsewhere or do something elsewhere. You want to protect your principal, which is the practice you've had all your life. That's your principal there. And in these situations, the pandemic, the disability is probably the highest likelihood that's what will happen to you. You will get disabled. And then the value of your practice plummets. So maybe sometimes it's better that, you try to pull out. Obviously, you've got to talk to your accountant, your banker, your attorneys, and so forth. But it's just something to be aware of. When I heard this morning, I'm getting divorced, It's just I've heard this song so many times, that occurrences that you never dreamed would happen. More likely it's going to be a disability, and I've seen that happen so many times. So just think about it. If you're a seller and you're on top, just get out while you can. If you spoke to your attorneys and spoke to your professionals, get out even though it's not perfect to get out. At least you have your principal. We don't know where the economy's going. We don't know where the interest rate eventually is going. So, and then you with buyers, don't keep waiting and waiting and waiting. 2 years out of school, you're pretty much ready, even though you don't think you are. A lot of doctors wait until they're 4 years out, and you don't have to wait that long. Get started on it. Get started on this. Get your, again, I've told you many times, get the disability insurance, maximize it. Life insurance, maximize it. Because you could be, and you can get term life insurance, but you could be uninsurable one day. You don't want to be in that situation. But you as a buyer, you don't know what may happen. If you buy a practice and you start working and then you get hurt or long-term disability, you can hire people to work for you. And you could still have an income. The hygienist is still working. So you can hire these people, they can work for you, and it can work out very well. But if you are an associate, and unless you have an extraordinary amount of disability insurance, it's probably not going to be enough. And there's nobody, you can't earn income. If you can't work, you can't earn income. So you want to get into your practice, so you have your practice, something happens, you have backup. You're a hygienist, you can hire a doctor, you always can have income coming in. So don't wait. These things happen. The unknown happens. The disabilities, the pandemics, the divorces. It's just, I'm telling you, I've been seeing this. The dentist for 25 years, I've been seeing this happen time and time again. Don't fall into the trap. You may not think you're ready. I'm telling you, you're ready. Okay, to buy, and you're probably ready to sell. I'm not just doing this as a broker because I have plenty of practices to sell. We're expanding all over the country. There's going to be tons of practices for sale. You can always get a deal elsewhere, but you've got to do it for yourself. It's the unpredictable that could happen. Buyer or seller, put yourself in the best position you can. Make it happen. We'll see you on the next one. This is Dr. Gary on the road. Check it out.